Good morning. I'm Carol Kim, Vice President for Research and Dean of the Graduate School. Welcome to the University of Maine. We're delighted to be joined today by Senator Collins, Senator King, Representative Poliquin, Mr. Erskine, Deputy Secretary, Assistant Secretary of the Economic Development Administration, Mr. Greg Powell, Chair of the Alfond Foundation, Mr. Jose Zayas, Director of the Department of Energy, Wind and Water Program, University of Maine President Susan Hunter, and Mr. Peter Vigu, Chair, President, and CEO of Chimbro Corporation. I would also like to welcome all the members of the Maine State Legislature who have joined us today, as well as business and innovation partners, funding agencies, and UMaine system partners. Our many distinguished guests are gathered to celebrate the grand opening of the University of Maine WindWave Ocean Engineering Laboratory. We're very proud of the Advanced Structures and Composites team, the faculty, the graduate and undergraduate students, and the engineering, technical, and administrative staff, and our many partners who collaborate to make this laboratory so successful. This entire facility, with its unique research and development testing capabilities, is a central component of the University of Maine Signature Program in Advanced Materials for Infrastructure and Energy. It is now my pleasure to introduce Dr. Habib Dagher, Executive Director of the Advanced Structures and Composites Center. In his career, Dr. Dagher has received wide recognition and numerous awards. His long list of achievements includes his most recent award, being named a 2015 White House Transportation Champion of Change. This prestigious event last month recognized 11 of the nation's top transportation innovators for exemplary leadership in advancing transportation and leading change that benefits the nation's transportation system. At the event, Dr. Dagher was entered as the primary inventor of the award-winning composite arch system, Bridge in a Backpack. We're very proud of Dr. Dagher and the outstanding team of students, faculty, and staff at the Advanced Structures and Composites Center. Habib Dagher.
Good morning, and thank you for taking the time to be with us today. It's a very exciting day for all of us in Maine. We're an ocean state, and until now, we haven't had ocean engineering facilities. And today, we're gathered to change that. And we're not just building any ocean engineering facility. We wanted to leapfrog technologies so we can help innovators from across Maine and the US and the world take their ideas and test them to reality. We have essentially an indoor ocean there that innovators can take and test their technology to see if it holds up to the environment. We're opening today the W Square, that stands for Wind and Wave Ocean Engineering Facility. And then in 2016, June 2016, we'll open the Advanced Manufacturing Laboratory for structural thermoplastic composites, right where we're all standing here. So in 6 months, this place will have robots running back and forth to make structural thermoplastic composites. Where is this lab? We got started back in 1996 as a center, and our center looks like U-shaped today. And the addition we're opening today is the one in the dotted lines you see above, the W Square Ocean Engineering Lab. And what I'm most proud of is that we've had over 1,800 students get paid to work in this lab since 1996, and developing all kinds of innovations. And we have over 500 clients globally that work with us on developing new technologies. So we are very pleased that we are a business. Our business is research and development, and our clients are global. The center has received a number of awards, over 40 national and international research excellence awards for our R&D. And we're very pleased and humbled to have been selected by for so many awards. But today, we're building a facility to simulate the ocean. The floor changes, moves up and down, and the wind direction changes, as you see right there, using a rotating wind machine that also allows us to change wind speed with height. We can test ships, as you see right over there. At the one end, we have a beach designed by our team to kill the waves in a short distance. We can do tow tests to test new different ship designs. We can create waves in that facility up to 2.5 feet high, which represents 50 times that, because when we're testing at 150 scale, which is over 100-foot waves out in the real world. This is a model of a floating wind turbine at 150 scale, subjected to a 500-year storm. And you can see it's not moving a lot. So the purpose of this facility is to take innovators who have ideas right now and want to try them out. Now they have a destination to come, the University of Maine. So what will we do with this facility? We'll be able to look at 5 different industrial sectors. Ocean energy is a big deal. We're going to be looking at offshore wind technologies, wave energy devices, tidal energy devices. To put that in perspective, within 50 miles of the coast of Maine, there's 156 gigawatts of offshore wind, enough to power the state over 50 times over. Wave energy and tidal energy are other opportunities as well. Shipbuilding is one of our biggest industries. This is a Hodgson ship that was built for the Navy SEALs. This happens to be a Hinckley yacht ship that could be tested in the long run. This happens to be a Morris yacht ship. So as we look at developing next generation ships, we could be testing them in this facility to develop better ships. Or it could be BIW. BIW is also here with us today, as well as the other shipbuilders, to look at next generation ships that could be designed and built here. Our open ocean aquaculture industry is also here with us today. This is a company called Innova Sea that's developing deep water aquaculture facilities. They need to be tested to see if they hold up out in the ocean. And that's the kind of facility we could be testing. Bridges is another opportunity. How do we design bridges that will hold up to the ocean? How do we design waterfront facilities? As you know, the seas are rising and storms are getting more extreme. How to protect Portland and other East Coast cities and other cities from sea level rise and extreme storms. These are pictures from Portland just last year on the right-hand side, right here. So this is what's happening as we speak. How do we protect these cities? This is how the Netherlands is protecting their cities. They already have plans to plan for sea level rise. This is the largest storm surge barrier in the world that closes automatically when the sea rises with a storm. Do we need to do that? What else do we do on the East Coast of the US to protect our cities and mitigate sea level changes? And of course, oil and gas structures can also be tested in this facility. How are we going to test these units? We're going to use 3D printers. If you walk back from here, we have the most sophisticated 3D printer in the world right now that's going to be able to print models of these ships. So Bath Iron Works can email us, for example, a model of a destroyer, and we'll tell them, come back next week, we're ready for you to test it, because it'll be 3D printed, as you see right here. And so next year, in June, we'll be opening right here an advanced manufacturing lab for structural thermoplastic composites to try to reduce cycle time and develop recyclable structural thermoplastics. We're very excited about that. But none of this would have happened without all the people who have worked for over 6 years to get to this point today. I'd like to invite everyone who worked on this lab to come up, please, and be recognized. Please come on up. Yes. Yeah. And please come on up to the stage, please, with us here. And please come on up here. Yeah. The people with the blue sweaters are University of Maine folks, and the others are partners as well. I'd like to recognize our University of Maine staff who designed and built most of the equipment internally. We built a lot of the equipment you'll see here in this lab because it's so unique. Dr. Krish Tyagarajan led the science team that actually designed a lot of that equipment. Dr. Anthony Vaselli led the fabrication team that built this equipment right here in this lab. Dr. Andy Goopy was involved in the science team as well. Dr. Rich Kimball and Doug Reed from Maine Maritime Academy were key to this as well. Our facilities team, Carolyn McDonough and Walter Shannon, were part of making sure this facility gets built. SMRT has designed the facility as well and did the architecture and engineering. And Chimbro designed this facility, constructed this facility for us. So all of these folks really are the folks that made it happen. I'd like to point out also for the composites lab that we're building, Dr. Roberto Lopez Anido is key to a lot of this. You see pictures of the folks who are working down there. I can't talk about all of them, but we're going to be opening this facility in June of next year. I'd like to also thank the team who actually organized this event, and their pictures are right over here. A lot of others have worked on it, but Josh, where are you here? Right, Josh Pallord, and then Doreen Booten. And Steve, where are you? Okay, Doreen on the back. We couldn't have done this without them. I'd like to give everybody a hand. Thank you for your contributions over 6 years. Okay. And where did the money come to build this? It took 6 years to raise the money through a lot of grants, competitive grants from a lot of different places. The National Science Foundation was one of the grantors. The Economic Development Administration, U.S. Department of Commerce, NIST from the Department of Commerce, the Maine Technology Institute, and of course the state of Maine through a bond funded and approved by Maine voters. So this is how we put all this together. The entire funding is $13.8 million. And you'll hear in just a minute about the last piece of funding, which I'm very excited about. So with this in mind, I'm going to invite everyone here to go back to their seats, and we'll continue the program. Thank you.
Thanks, Habib. Appreciate the recognition.
It's my great pleasure to invite President Susan Hunter to the podium. President Hunter became UMaine's first female president in July of 2014. She began her full-time career at the University of Maine 24 years before that and had every possible position you can think at the University of Maine ever since. She has more experience with all aspects of UMaine than anyone that I know of. President Hunter served 5 years as Executive Vice President for Academic Affairs and Provost at the University of Maine. She also held positions of Associate Provost, Dean for the Undergraduate Education, Assistant Director in the College of Natural Sciences, Forestry and Agriculture, and faculty member and chair of the Department of Biological Sciences. And she also served, prior to this position, as Vice Chancellor for Academic Affairs for the University of Maine System. I had the distinct pleasure to work with President Hunter on making this facility happen. She accompanied me on a number of trips, particularly one that landed a very large grant for this facility. Please help me provide a very warm welcome to our President, President Hunter.
Well, good morning, everybody. This is a fabulous day for the University of Maine. Good morning, Senator Collins, Senator King, Representative Poliquin, Mr. Powell, Chancellor Page, Mr. Vigu, Mr. Erskine, Mr. Zayas, and ladies and gentlemen. So thank you all for joining us here today at the state's land-grant flagship university as we launch a new chapter in ocean engineering research and development in Maine and New England. Benchmarks like this one in our 150-year history epitomize the distinctiveness of UMaine and its ability to undertake world-class research to the benefit of this state and region and beyond. World-class research is what we've come to expect and appreciate from our Advanced Structures and Composites Center. This is an internationally recognized facility that embodies the teaching, research, and partnership efforts that are at the core of Maine's research university. This facility and the people behind it are dedicated to turning knowledge into solutions to meet the needs of Maine, needs that include job creation, a trained workforce, and innovation to grow established industries. This center is at the heart of one of UMaine's 7 signature areas of excellence, advanced materials for infrastructure and energy. It is a signature area because it has achieved national and international distinction and is a key element in the future of this university and the state. The Advanced Structures and Composites Center is the largest university-based research center in Maine, and it has a broad research and economic development impact on the state. It is one of the strongest engines for private sector collaboration on campus and currently has nearly 200 ongoing projects funded by external clients. And in all of these efforts, undergraduate and graduate students gain hands-on experience working in collaboration with our world-class researchers. Since its inception, the center has supported over 1,800 UMaine students, the next generation of leaders, who based on this experiential learning opportunity at a top-flight facility, go on and define tomorrow. As many of you know, about 30 years ago, when I was actually a part-time faculty member and then a full-time faculty member, I was home in Murray Hall, the building right next door. And from my office there, I watched this center take shape. Not just the actual facility, but the people, research and development projects, public and private sector partners, and state and federal government leaders that have contributed to its success, all with the goal of moving Maine forward. This new laboratory is the next extraordinary chapter. Thank you.
Thank you, President Hunter. It is my distinct pleasure to invite to the podium Mr. Greg Powell, Chairman of the Harold Alfond Foundation. Greg Powell, in addition to being Chairman of the Harold Alfond Foundation, is Chief Executive Officer and President of Dexter Enterprises, where he also serves as Director. In 2005, Harold Alfond appointed Mr. Powell as Chairman of the Foundation's Board of Trustees. Mr. Powell knew Harold Alfond since childhood, and in 1996, working with Alfond, founded Dexter Enterprises, Inc. Prior to '96, Mr. Powell practiced law for 15 years, concentrating his practice in litigation. He currently is director of multiple family-held businesses, is an officer and trustee of other Alfond family foundations, is a former director of Spinnaker Trust, and has served on multiple boards of community organizations and educational institutions, including the University of New England. Mr. Powell is a graduate of Wesleyan University and the University of Maine School of Law. He holds an honorary degree from the University of New England. I had the distinct pleasure to work with Mr. Greg Powell for a few years now. He was invited to our lab 4 years ago, then by private citizen Angus King. Angus, as a private citizen, drove up with Greg back and forth from Portland to ask Greg to do something for this laboratory. In addition to that, Senator King, to make this happen, said, I'm going to put my own money into this lab, and decided to put $30,000 of his own cash into this facility. And you'll see in just a minute whether Senator King was successful.
Well, I've spoken at a lot of athletic events, but I've never been at an engineering one, so if I'm nervous, that's why. Good morning, Habib, and that introduction was so glowing, I wish my mother-in-law were here to listen to a little bit of it. On behalf of the Harold Alfond Foundation, I'm honored to be here with so many supporters and advocates of this university's Structures and Composites Center. Senator Collins, Senator King, Representative Poliquin, President Hunter, Pete Vigue, and our distinguished representatives from the Department of Energy, U.S. Department of Commerce, the National Science Foundation, the National Institute of Standards and Technology, the Maine Technology Institute. The list is endless. Thank you all for what you have done to advance the work of this university and the work of Dr. Dagher and his team. Harold Alfond disliked two things in life: lawyers and long speeches. Well, as a lawyer, there was nothing much I could or can do about that, but I can follow Harold's wisdom in making these remarks brief. As Harold would remind me, keep it short, Greg. When your mouth is in gear, your brain is in park. So this morning, I would like to briefly share with you in detail how and why it is that the Harold Alfond Foundation has come to this ribbon-cutting occasion. First, the how. As you have already heard in part, in January of 2011, Senator King was between jobs when I received an email from him begging me to take a look at this center and all that it was up to. Not only did Angus invite me to the center, but as Habib has told you, he personally drove me up to Orono in his Toyota Prius, which, as far as I could tell from the vehicle's unkempt interior, had turned into a large file drawer. We had a lively conversation, and as Senator King delivered first-class education on all that Dr. Dagher and his team had been doing, I really enjoyed the visit greatly. And on arrival at the center, something Habib did not mention to you, Senator King and I were greeted with what we all know to be the extraordinary charm, energy, and brilliance of Dr. Dagher, who, in preparation for the meeting that morning, had mistakenly shaved off half of his mustache. Well, we spent the better part of the day touring the center, meeting students, engineers, and architects, and scientists, and closed the day out in Habib's conference room where, to use a Harold Alfond phrase, Senator King put skin in the game, wrote a personal check on the spot. I was impressed. Then we went off to a Black Bear hockey game. Now, I should have realized that this hospitality had nothing to do with my warm personality and wonderful ways. I should have realized back then that it was just a bit extraordinary to have a TV talk show host, former governor, author, professor, and future senator personally chauffeur me anywhere. Clearly, the foundation's balance sheet was in big trouble. So now you know how, in greater detail, thank you, Habib, the foundation first became acquainted with the wonderful work that occurs here. Now to the why of the foundation's interest in the lab we dedicate this morning. As President Hunter has just described, over the last 20 years, the Advanced Structures and Composites Center has grown dramatically in physical size and national stature. The center and its affiliated programs generate over $8 million per year in income versus licensing via licensing contracts, and to date have spun off over 14 companies and been awarded some 30 patents. The center works with some 150 main companies and over 500 companies worldwide. And as has been said, it has financially supported and educated 1,800 students through research grants and contracts. The center has received 40 national and international excellence awards, including the most recent Champion of Change Award from the President of the United States. With the new facility we dedicate this morning, the center now has the largest and most sophisticated wind and water testing facility in the world. This awesome place and the work that goes on here is a center of excellence, a model of how the public and private sector can work together to develop new technologies, innovate, create jobs, and educate future leaders in engineering and manufacturing. And so that is the why. Harold Alfond backed winners. By any standard imaginable, this center, its supporters, advocates, and leaders are world-class winners. With such a team and track record and the promise this center poses for the university, its students, our nation and state, this center is exactly what the Harold Alfond Foundation loves to support. And when our board heard that support for the center's labs and people was needed, we jumped at the chance to help. Harold Alfond was very fond of saying, "Don't tell me, show me." For nearly 20 years, As it is this morning, the Composites Center is all about showing success and accomplishment. So on behalf of the foundation, I am delighted to show our support by delivering this check and announcing our grant commitment to the center in the amount of $3.9 million. Thank you.
Because of this wonderfully generous contribution, Greg, we're going to go ahead and name this facility after Harold Alfond, and we're going to pull the banner, please. So this. We're delighted and honored to call this facility the Harold Alfond W. Square Ocean Engineering Laboratory. And you know what, Greg? I'll shave my mustache again if you give us another $4.5 million.
When people in Washington want to solve a problem, they turn to the senior United States Senator from Maine, Susan Collins. First elected in 1996, Senator Collins has earned a national reputation as an effective legislator who works across party lines to seek consensus on our nation's most important issues. In 2015, Senator Collins was ranked the most bipartisan member of the U.S. Senate by the Lugar Center and Georgetown University. Senator Collins ranks 19th in Senate seniority. She chairs the Senate Select Committee on Aging and serves on the Appropriations and Intelligence Committees, as well as the Committee on Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions. Known for her Maine work ethic, Senator Collins has never missed a vote in her 18 years in office, more than 6,000 votes in a row. Senator Collins has been a steadfast supporter of this lab and R&D in general for all of her years in office. We truly appreciate all she has done for UMaine. So please join me in welcoming Senator Susan Collins.
Thank you. Thank you very much, President Hunter. So, do you know how hard it is to follow a person who's just presented a check for $3.9 million? But Greg, we truly are grateful. This is wonderful. Today, we gathered together to celebrate the hard work and ingenuity of the people of Maine, the innovation produced by Maine's flagship campus, an extraordinary partnership with the federal, state governments, as well as the private sector, and the generosity of a wonderful Maine family. The nearly $14 million in funds contributed by a variety of public and private sources demonstrates the confidence that so many of us have in this exciting center. This remarkably generous grant by the Alfond Foundation is an investment in Maine's future. The foundation is helping to make this amazing day into one that is amazing squared. It's also, for the first time in my life, made me wish that I had taken physics. Maine is a maritime state. The ocean is our heritage and it is our future. This laboratory builds on our state's tradition of excellence in ocean engineering. The world-class research capabilities that this lab will provide will help Maine and our nation improve our industrial competitiveness. It will create new jobs. It will advance renewable energy in wind power, wave, and tidal. It will help our aquaculture industry, and it may well help protect our coastal cities from major storms. In fact, I kept wishing that FEMA were here too to see what you can do. That'll be the next trip. In addition to the Alfont Foundation, I want to thank the U.S. Department of Energy, the Department of Commerce, particularly EDA, the National Science Foundation, the Maine Technology Institute, and Maine voters for their support in making this vital research facility a reality. Over the years, the Department of Energy has been such a valuable partner in the growth of the Advanced Structures and Composites Center, thanks to the strong support of the university's work in offshore wind energy. And it's exciting that the department has just pledged $3.7 million in additional funds to support that project. It really should be evident to all our federal partners that nobody does water, wind, and wave better than the state of Maine. Celebrations like this one at the center reflect the important progress that we're making. My first official visit as a senator in 1997 was to the University of Maine's fledgling Wood Composites Center. Believe me, it was a much smaller place back then. I was so impressed by the innovative work being done by Habib and his team that I immediately decided to make as one of my top priorities in Congress getting more R&D money to the University of Maine and its partners. And rarely has my confidence been so well rewarded. In the 18 years since that first visit, the center has become a recognized world leader in the development of cost-effective, high-performance, hybrid composite materials with applications that range from the bridge and the backpack to the Volturnus deepwater offshore wind floating turbine to the ballistic protection system. And under Habib's leadership, the center is conducting cutting-edge research, providing an outstanding education for the next generation of engineers, and best of all, spurring economic growth for our state and new jobs for our people. For more than 4 centuries, Maine has led the way in conquering the sea, from building the great sailing vessels of the past to the most advanced ships of today. The W² Lab will help secure Maine's place as a leader in the ocean economy of the future. I want Maine, not China, not the Netherlands, not even Great Britain, to be the world's leader in offshore wind energy, and we are on our way. Most important, at this critical and difficult time in our world's history, it demonstrates to all Americans that we remain a nation of vision, of energy, and of determination. Those values are what we celebrate today. Thank you and congratulations.
U.S. Senator Angus King is a former two-term governor and first-term U.S. Senator. Elected in 2012, Senator King is Maine's first independent senator. He sits on the Senate Energy and Natural Resources Committee, the Intelligence Committee, the Armed Services Committee, and the Senate Budget and Rules Committees. He has long been a strong supporter of the University of Maine as a global leader in research, education, and economic development in marine industries and ocean energy. As governor, he helped establish the Advanced Structures and Composites Center back in 1996, and we have all now heard the story of how he put his own skin in the game many years ago. So please join me in welcoming Senator Angus King.
What I like is how practical this place is. See the alligator clips up there? Nothing fancy, just, you know, from the office they grab the alligator clips. Anyone in the audience who wants to make a $3.9 million contribution in Maine, I'll pick you up in the Prius anytime. If I'd only known that's what it took, Greg, I would do it every time. This is a very exciting day, and it's hard to know where to start, but I think I'll pick up on something that Senator Collins said. If Maine were a company, we would start by taking stock of our assets. What do we have? And one of the things, we two or three things that we have, hi Bucky, we have fiber, we're a gold mine of fiber, falling water, and the ocean. And the ocean is this enormously, potentially powerful part of our future. Not only our future, but our past. We're an ocean state. And so the ocean is so much a part of our future, and yet how do we tap into it? It takes information, it takes research, it takes the opportunity to do the kinds of things that this lab is going to do. And by the way, I want to pause just a minute and recognize Habib. We literally wouldn't be here without Habib's leadership. I also can't help but point out that at the age of 17, Habib came here from a Civil War-torn country in the Middle East. We're glad you're here, man. Doing a project like this, when Molly was little, I used to help her learn things by, I think it's called mnemonics. Is that where you have initials of things? If Molly were here, I'd say, Molly, this is the 4 P's at work. The 4 P's. What are they? What's that? The first is a plan, a vision. It has to start with a vision of where we want to go, how we want to get there, and what is it we want to achieve. And it started with Habib and the people at the lab that had a vision of what this could do and mean to the future of Maine. So that's number one. That's the first P. The second P is partnership. This is one of the biggest partnerships in Maine. I mean, we've got the United States government, we've got private partners, we've got private foundations. It is a huge partnership because nobody can do anything like this by themselves. Nobody can ever achieve something of this magnitude by themselves or even with a small team. It takes a partnership. So that's number 2. A plan, a partnership. The third is perseverance. This was really easy, wasn't it, Habib? Just a piece of cake. It all just fell into place. No, it takes perseverance. It takes persistence. It takes overcoming obstacles, not being discouraged, not taking no for an answer. Now, I could stop there and say, well, those are the 3 essential P's that it takes, but there really is a 4th. The 4th is passion. You've got to have the passion for it. You've got to have it in your heart that this is something that's important, that's going to make a difference. And the people here who have built this facility have the passion for Maine and for the future of Maine. This is literally an investment in our future. And in many ways, as I mentioned, it's back to the future. It's the heritage of Maine is out there in the ocean. I was sitting here and watching and looking at the seal down here. I often wondered, I think those are sails on that seal. I'm gonna pretend they are, whether they are or not. The president is saying, yeah, those are sails. That's wind power. That's energy. That's tapping the heart of nature, which is part of what the history of this university and this institution are all about. By the way, you heard about my contribution. I think I bought this podium right here. This is it right here. You know, it ain't 3.9 million, but this is a great moment. It really is, because the future belongs to innovators. That's the key element in the 21st century. It's about innovation and reinvention and optimism. And that's what this place represents. We're now talking about wind power and tidal, but there may be other aspects. There may be things that we haven't even thought of that somebody's going to say, come and let's use this lab because we have a new idea for something entirely different. But innovation and reinvention are really what this place is all about. And this is a step toward Maine's innovative future. And so I'm just delighted to be able to join you here and to congratulate Habib and all of the team that has put this together. This is really a major part of Maine's toolkit for the 21st century. Thank you.
In 2014, Congressman Bruce Poliquin was elected to represent Maine's 2nd District, the largest congressional district east of the Mississippi River and the 2nd most rural district in the country, and the proud home of the University of Maine and 4 of the University of Maine system's other 6 schools. A resident of Oakland, Congressman Poliquin serves on the House Financial Services Committee, where he draws on his experience as a businessman and Maine State Treasurer to provide oversight of the banking, housing, and insurance industries and to help support growth of the American economy. Please join me in welcoming Representative Bruce Poliquin.
Isn't this a great day? Isn't this a great day? Now, one thing that President Hunter didn't mention, in addition to having the largest geographic district east of the Mississippi and the 2nd most rural in the country, we also have about 1,500 miles of wonderful Maine coastline, and we have about 50,000 black bears. I'll tell you, when Habib got all of these folks who have been working so hard up here on this stage, your thoughts go to these people who've been working for so many years and all the partners that you put together, Habib. And I'll tell you, we now have world-class teachers, and we have for a while, world-class students, and now we have a world-class lab to boot. So I couldn't help but thinking when I was walking in, introducing myself to some of the students that are here, what if you had a young man or young woman from Iowa? They're about to graduate from high school and thinking about where they want to go. And they want to work in the marine economy. Now we have this tremendous asset that we didn't have a short time ago, Habib. So I am so grateful that this asset and these teachers and these kids are in the 2nd District of Maine. I also think that we all need to acknowledge the tremendous work done by Senator Collins and Senator King over a very long period of time, and we owe them tremendous gratitude. There's another partner here in this tremendous success story that has been mentioned, but I would want to mention, and I do want to mention, that individual again, who is Harold Alfond. Now, Greg Powell and I grew up together in Waterville. I was 1 year older than he was, but we all played on the same Alfond Little League teams. And there's one thing about Mr. Alfond, for some of you folks who might not have known him, he was all about kids. He loved kids. And he knew that his adopted state of Maine, where he invested so heavily in his family and his businesses, that the assets of this state were really the kids. The future of this state are our kids. And there is nobody in the history of the state of Maine that I know of who has spoken up so clearly, so loudly to support our kids in this state. Thank you, Greg Powell. Thank you, Harold Alfond. Now, I can't help to be excited when I was next door with the fella from the Department of Commerce, Mr. Erskine, and bending his ear a little bit to make sure that he knows that this is made, and we greatly appreciate the assets, the investment in our state, and also the gentleman from the Department of Energy, the same thing, Jose. We really appreciate it. You know, this is a world that is dangerous, and it's getting more dangerous. And there are budgetary pressures and all the things that we know about. And when you can have businesses around the world, before they invest billions of dollars in wind assets off their coast or our coast, they now have an opportunity because of your partnership with the federal government, with the Harold Alfond Foundation, and folks like Pete Vigio at Chimbro, that they can come here and they can see if their ideas will work. This will drive innovation in our country, in our state. It will drive jobs and the ability to keep our young kids here. So we should all be incredibly thankful. In 3 days, we celebrate Thanksgiving in this country. But I'll tell you, I am so thankful for what has happened today, for the future of this university, for the future of the work to be done here, and all the kids that are going to come through this laboratory to learn what they need to do to make this a better world, a better state, and a better district. Go Black Bears.
Thank you, Congressman Paulquin. It's a great pleasure for me to introduce Mr. Matt Erskine. Matt was appointed by President Obama to serve as the Deputy Assistant Secretary of Commerce for Economic Development, that's EDA, and Chief Operating Officer of the Economic Development Administration in September of 2011. Mr. Erskine brings more than 20 years of leadership and management experience in business, in the public sector, and public-private partnerships. Prior to joining the Obama administration at the Department of Commerce, he led the public-private partnership driving economic development and foreign direct investment for the 5th largest metropolitan region in the U.S. and worked in senior roles at global businesses and consulting firms. Under Mr. Erskine's leadership and the hard work of Mr. Alan Brigham and Mr. Chris Christian, the EDA has provided a $3 million competitive grant for this project. That was the first grant we got to build this building. If it wasn't for that, nothing would have happened. So Mr. Erskine was here a few years ago to announce the grant and promised me he's going to come back when we build the building. And he did keep his promise. So please help me provide a very warm welcome to Mr. Erskine. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and good morning. Yes, my name is Matt Erskine from the U.S. Department of Commerce, from the federal government, and I suppose I am here to help you. It is, in all seriousness, a great honor and pleasure to be here today representing the Obama administration and the U.S. Department of Commerce to help celebrate the completion and the opening of the Ocean Engineering Center here at the university. Dr. Dagher, thank you so much. You know, as founding director, a renowned inventor with 24 patents under your belt, and as has been said before, recognition last month in Washington as a 2015 White House Champion of Change, you are rightfully recognized as one of our nation's top innovators. And as Dr. Dagher mentioned, I had the great fortune to visit here with him and the team back in April of 2013 and got to see firsthand the amazing work. And I have to tell you, it is remarkable to see the terrific progress that has been made since then. Thank you for your exemplary leadership in championing job-creating innovation here in Maine and beyond. Very quickly, I would also like to thank Chancellor Page, President Hunter, and the rest of the University of Maine team for their warm welcome and for all their great work. Senator Collins, Senator King, Representative Poliquin, thank you for your leadership and service, and especially thank you for your strong support of the work we do at the U.S. Department of Commerce and at the U.S. Economic Development Administration, and it is an honor and pleasure to be with you today. And finally, let me recognize two very key members of the EDA team, Alan Brigham and Christopher Christian. Alan is the Economic Development Representative for the state of Maine. He lives in Maine. He is the on-the-ground resource for you and has been such a tremendous part of this project and other projects across the state. And I wanted to recognize them for their service and for what they do every day on behalf of the country. So when you're the seventh speaker in line, you better have something interesting to say. I do want to make some important points in a brief fashion. You know, the work that we do at the U.S. Economic Development Administration, the EDA, to help communities and regions advance their local strategies, to spur jobs, to spur innovation, and to attract investment is critical. And as the dignitaries on this stage here today have attested, innovation is the key to global competitiveness, new and better jobs, a more resilient economy, and the attainment of our national economic goals, which is why I am particularly excited, again, on behalf of the President and Secretary Pritzker, to congratulate the University of Maine and the state of Maine on the completion and the opening of this important center. Again, the only facility in the U.S. to combine the multi-directional combined wind and wave simulation for modeling and testing vessels and marine structures. Not only will this project create jobs and new economic opportunities, but as you've heard, it will attract more investment through the innovation. At EDA, we work with communities and regions to develop economic development strategies. You heard Senator King talk about having a plan, and we help them take those plans, maximize their assets, maximize their resources, attract and nurture innovators. This is critical. So the project, the Ocean Engineering Center, and the Advanced Structures and Composites Center itself are excellent examples of the kind of partnership that we look to be a part of and support. You may not know that actually the Advanced Structures and Composites Center itself was established with the help of a $2.2 million EDA investment back in 1996 to help this region diversify in the wake of the downturn in the timber industry. It's grown to research and develop the new composite materials and technologies to go beyond wood products, led to more than 300 product development and testing projects, assistance to more than 50 businesses, the creation of 13 new businesses, and more than $100 million in additional research and development grant funding. And as Dr. Dogger mentioned, in 2011, EDA made a subsequent investment of $3 million to help build the W² facility we open and celebrate today. It's important to note that that $3 million has leveraged close to $14 million, showing that a modest investment, patient capital, strategic investment can lead to greater things. So let me close with some words about the big picture and why this project is so important. So since coming into office, the President and his administration have prioritized supporting American innovation and entrepreneurship. And that key priority is enunciated through our leadership at the U.S. Department of Commerce, where under Secretary Pritzker's leadership, we're executing our Open for Business strategic plan that provides our department with a clear mission: to grow trade and investment, to support innovation, to provide environmental intelligence, and to unlock our data for the benefit of businesses and the public. I can see, and I think we all can see, how this project, this important center, fits into all four of those pillars. We are making key long-term investments in the foundation of America's economic growth. Investments in people through skills training, investments in innovation and entrepreneurship, and investments in the country's physical and digital infrastructure. And this focus is imperative, as we have seen how countries across the globe are changing the way they think, the way they invest. They're constructing new centers of innovation. They're building smart power grids and more, with an eye to sharpening their competitive edge for the long term. So to sustain our long-term competitiveness here in Maine and across the United States, our path forward requires us to nourish and support our innovators and entrepreneurs, because between 1/3 and 1/2 of economic growth in the United States can be attributed to technological and scientific innovation. And since our nation's founding, Americans have applied their ingenuity to develop great ideas into great businesses right here in the United States. So we as leaders have to make choices. We have to choose to focus on long-term success, even if the short-term course seems easier and more expedient. We have to choose to make smart investments that reflect our priorities and our plans for the long term and for our vision for the future. So moving forward, you can be assured that the U.S. Department of Commerce and EDA remain committed to working with you to make the right long-term choices for our country. Choices that will create value for our communities and regions, choices that will sustain U.S. competitiveness around the world, and choices that will keep America open for business. Ensuring that our country remains the global epicenter of innovation and a generator of good jobs and shared prosperity. There's nothing more important than that right now. To me, to Secretary Pritzker, to the President, and to our fellow Americans looking for a way in and a way up in this economy. Let me again offer my congratulations to the community and to the individuals whose vision and commitment are working to bring this project to fruition. Thank you very much. It's been an honor to be with you.
Thank you, Mr. Erskine, and your team here. Appreciate all the investment that let us all move forward on this project. In this room today, we have some of the top business leaders in our state, in a variety of industries. The building industry is represented by presidents of companies. The aquaculture industry is represented here today. The composite material industry is represented here today. And it's my great pleasure to represent my dear friend and a very well-known industry leader in our state, Mr. Peter Vigio. Peter Vigio is the chairman, president, and CEO of the Cimbro Companies. Pete has over 40 years of experience in the construction industry. And I tell you, there's nothing that you're going to build that Pete doesn't have an idea of how to build it. And usually very good ideas. And as he's transformed Cimbro into pioneers in the construction industry. As chairman, Pete is an innovative and results-driven leader, focused on achieving exceptional results in a highly competitive environment that demands continuous improvements while building partnerships with key business decision makers. Under Vigio's leadership, Cimbro has grown steadily and has become a 100% employee-owned company. The Chimbro Company now employs over 4,000 people all across the country. That's a big company. And thank you, Pete, for keeping Chimbro and growing Chimbro, not only in Maine, but in 40 other states in the country. I've had the distinct pleasure to work with Peter for nearly 20 years now, when the slab was just about to get built. And he inspires me every time we meet. Together, and with the wonderful support from Senator Collins and King, we have deployed the first grid-connected offshore wind turbine in the United States. Together, as partners, we're working hard to build the first floating offshore wind farm in the United States, using the disruptive Volturnus technology invented here in Maine that will drive costs down and create U.S. jobs. Please help me provide a very warm welcome to Peter Vigio.
Thank you very much, Habib. It's an honor for me to be here today to represent the 4,000 men and women that I work for every day. Granted, we do work across this country, but certainly you need to understand that Maine is our home. Maine is where our headquarters are located and will continue to be located here because of one word. And I want to add a word to Angus's P's, a B, and that is the word believe. And I know as we stand here today that the people who are here believe in this state, have confidence in its ability to compete and succeed in the future. Yet, there are those people from away on the outside, perhaps that might have more assets, more opportunity than we do. But it starts with us in convincing those people that we can succeed, we can do unique things, and we can win in a very significant way, as long as we collaborate and we work together as one. This morning, we have Senator Collins, Senator King, Congressman Poliquin, and the likes of Greg Powell, who continues the good work of Harold Alfon, and believes. They believe in what the future can be for this state and its people. And today the challenge is, and it's very simple. Do you believe, and will you engage those from away to understand as we do that we can succeed in the future? Thank you very much.
Pete, yes, we believe. It's my great pleasure to introduce Mr. Jose Zayas. Jose is the Office Director of the Wind and Water Program Technologies at the Department of Energy. In his role, he manages efforts to improve performance, lower costs, and accelerate deployment of wind and water power technologies, which can play a significant role in America's clean energy future. In working with DOE's national labs, academia, and industry, the program funds research, development, and deployment of wind and water power systems through competitively selected, cost-shared projects with businesses, federal, state, and other stakeholder groups. Jose came first to this lab about 6 years ago. He wasn't at DOE yet. He was at Sandia National Labs. And we sat there in the conference room and talked about floating offshore wind. Jose hasn't forgotten his roots. When he went to DOE, he completely stayed accessible to us and always tells me, call me whenever you have a question, Habib. And he's true to that. Please help me welcome Jose Zayas.
Well, good morning. It's great to be here. Habib, I know many of us have congratulated you time and time again and the great team. I'd like to congratulate you again. It's really a testament to perseverance. As Senator King said, I really appreciated his remarks and many of the remarks stated today. that this team is truly committed to making a difference in technologies that I truly believe, I've been fortunate enough to be in WIN now close to 20 years, technologies that will make a difference for this nation, technologies that have attributes that will leave a much better place for generations to come. It's the commitment by University of Maine and many places around the country that we're blessed to be a part of that really are paving the road towards that future. So again, Habib, congratulations to you and your team. I really appreciate it. Just a few things. I got an opportunity to see the facility firsthand this morning, and of course I got to see it many years ago from a drawing phase to a few years ago when we saw this humongous hole in the ground to now a remarkable, unique, world-class facility. I know many of you will see it in a few minutes. As an engineer, I cannot tell you how much I wanted to just be a part of that because it was a lot of fun, I'm assuming, for many of the students that were here. And it really is a remarkable facility that will really enable us to understand a really complex environment. We've been talking about offshore wind, we've been talking about all the great opportunities that the state has, but that is a really complex environment that we're trying to understand and trying to solve and bring to America a new energy option, which I believe can completely be a great asset for our portfolio as we think forward. The other thing I will say is, although it's been mentioned, we've been talking about offshore wind a lot, that facility is also capable of testing wave energy devices, tidal devices. Our office is very fortunate to have a breadth of technologies that can be tested right there. We're going to be one of the first customers in the next few weeks for those of you who have an opportunity to come back. One of our technologies from Maine, as a matter of fact, from York, will be testing in those waters. We launched jointly with the White House a few months ago a Wave Energy Prize. That prize is really intended to promote the next generation of technologies that have the attributes that we care about, to bring another option for the nation. And right there in those, behind those doors, you will see another great example from Maine leadership, from Maine companies being tested there. So we're looking forward to working with you. Of course, it was great to see the great investment. Thank you, $3.9 million. It's somewhat, we had to be outdone. We did 3.7 last week. I already emailed the office looking for 201K to see if we can build that. But again, it's been a remarkable partnership. In total, in my tenure, we're nearly over $10 million that we've invested in the team here. It's been a great partnership. We continue to do the impossible, what people think can't be done. Everything from the grid-connected first offshore floating device to now the next generation of devices that will be tested. And we continue to value this institution. We continue to value the partnership that we have. And we couldn't do this without the great support from the senators and the congressmen. Again, I appreciate it. It's a pleasure to be a part of this industry. It's a pleasure to be here today. And thank you and congratulations.
I hereby declare the Harold L. Hunt W. Square Ocean Engineering